Okay, so I want to show you some custom date and number formatting that we can perform on our data here. And I've got a pretty good example here to show you. And we're going to end up transforming what you see here into what you see there. I'll zoom out here just a little bit there. So pretty much adding some extra formatting for the date so we can actually see the day of the week that data's on. Taking customer IDs and putting hyphens in between certain areas, putting these dot leaders after each of the text entries there to make it easier for you to follow with your eyes. And then some various formatting over here with our numbers to get them lined up on the right-hand side or to center them and things like that. So got a lot to do here, but pretty easy stuff to do nonetheless. So as far as the date goes, what I want to do is I want to kind of transform it into what they call a medium date, which is where we put the, I'll go back to here, where we put the month in between and we put the day and the year on both sides there. But we want to add to that as well the three-digit day of the week. So the first thing we'll do is we need to select all of our data. So I'm going to click on the first cell here, do a Control, Shift, and then down arrow key, and that will go all the way to the bottom. Not that it has that far to go. And then we'll scroll back up again. So now we want to take that entire range and get it to look like what you see here. All right. So first thing is we're going to go over into the dialog box, and pretty much you can pick any one of these. If you want to just go in the number one, that would be the easiest. So the number dialog box here, we click onto that. That brings you into here. And what we need to do then is find, do a different formatting basically on this. So when it comes to the date here, normally what we have is a format. And what we want to do in essence is kind of just transform what we have. And it's pretty much the format that we have here is kind of close to this one here. Actually, it's this one here that we're currently using. All right. So what we want to do is we want to change that to what you'd seen on that other sheet. So first thing we do is we go down to where it says Custom, and we click onto that. All right. And then what we do is we just kind of select that whole thing that's already in there, kill it off, and say to ourselves, okay, what do we want in essence, right? So in essence, I want to see the day. Now watch this. I put in 2 D's, okay? Then I put a hyphen, and then I'm going to put the MMM for the month, see? So the DD gives me the day, the 26th, all right? The MMM gives me the 3-digit month. Now, if I just made it 2 M's, I would just get an 03. Nobody would be able to figure that stuff out. So 3 M's, and then a hyphen, and then we want the 4-digit year, so it's going to be a YYYY. There goes that part. So that's perfect. Now, what I want is also now next to it the actual day. All right. So we're going to do DD, and we did DD before, and we had this one right here. But if we do one more D, then we get the actual spelling of the day. All right. Now, you can decide if you want to put maybe a hyphen in there or what have you, or maybe even put a parenthesis around it. That might be an idea. We could take that and put a parenthesis there and put over on the other side, something like that. So then you'd see that in there, right? I didn't do that on my done version here, but I just thought of it. That might be a better way of doing it. So there we go, all right? We go ahead and hit OK, and then I'll go ahead and I will double click the border here to make it wider, and there it is. Now what I can also do is if I make it just a little bit wider, you can kind of see how it's lining up on the right hand side. Well, if I go in the alignment area here while it's still selected and make it centered, it'll go center. Then I can double click it and I've got a perfect width there. So that works out pretty nice. Now for the customer ID number, what I want to do here is I want to put a hyphen between the 2nd and the 3rd, the 3rd and the 4th, and that's it, right? So to do that, I'll go ahead, I'll select this whole range again. I'll just do it this way. Scroll back up there. Okay, now I'll go back into my number formatting. I'll go directly to custom. I'm going to put in there Now, the pound symbol means number, right? So what we want to do here is we want to say, okay, for the first three numbers, pound, pound, pound. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong one. So for the first two, I want to do pound, pound, all right? But then after that, I want a hyphen, all right? And then the next thing I want to do is another pound, that's one number, and a hyphen, and then pound, pound, pound. And there we go. So you can see what it did there, all right? Hit OK on that. Make that a little bit wider. And it's already centered. Well, I'll hit the center anyway. And there we go. Make it maybe a little bit more. And there we go. So there's the customer ID. All right. Now, for each of our cells here that we've got the the text in for all three of these, for the company, the product, and company, or category name, I want to put hyphens after each one of them so we can just kind of follow across with that, right? Now, before we do that, let me just kind of point one little thing out here. I have each of these text entries, it looks like it's indented in there a little bit. It's like, how the heck did I do something like that? Because normally this would have looked like that. Okay, so basically, let me just do these all over again here. So normally they all, oh, go over here. You know what? Let me put that back there. Okay, now, okay. So normally, if you had just got done typing them in, they're all going to be lined up on the left side there, real close to the cell there. I don't really like that look. So what I've done in this situation, or what you just saw there, was I indented it by one character in on each of these, right? So I'm going to just show you this real quick here. Select that area, Control Shift, down arrow key, right? And that gets everything selected, right? And then all I do is I go over here into the alignment area and I hit the right alignment. That goes in one character just by clicking it, see? If I go back to the left, it goes back there. To the right, it goes there. If I do it one more, it goes even further. But one's enough as far as I'm concerned. So that is what I did to make it look like that. All right, so that's a good one. Now, while this is all still selected, what I want to do is get it so where at the end of each of the items here, it'll be a trail of dots there, dot leaders as we call them, okay? Now to do that, after I've got it all selected there, I'll go back into my number formatting dialog box, go to the number tab here, go to custom, all right? And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an @ symbol, and that represents all text. And what I want to do is I want to do an asterisk. The asterisk means repeat. And what am I going to repeat? A period. Now, if I want to do a hyphen instead, I get hyphens all the way across, and I would do that instead. But in this case, we're just going to do a dot. So this is representing, okay, after the text, I want to repeat the dot as far over to the right as the column width allows. So I do that, all right? Hit OK, and there we go. Look at that, huh? Dot, 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 all the way through. If I went in there and made these columns wider, then I'd have more dots, see? So that's pretty cool. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are the quantity here. And what's happened with this is that they're just in what we call general format. What I want to do is I want to make them comma format, right? So if we just go ahead and just select that whole range there and do the comma format on it, right? And then go ahead and get rid of the zeros, right? And do that. It lines up on the right-hand side, right? And if I go ahead and make it just the width that it needs to be, it's a little bit off kilter here, right? If I go and try to make it any narrower, I'm going to get, the pound symbols in there, right? Because all of these numbers are, for the most part, except for maybe the one here, okay, are all, just 4 digits along with the comma. What I like to do is get them all to be centered, all right? And so if I go in there and I select the whole range here, all right? Here, I'll tell you what we'll do here just to make it easy here. I'll say, you know what? You can be 9,985. Okay, there we go. How about that? That's how you do it. When data doesn't fit your worksheet, change it. All right. Anyway, go ahead and select it here, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go and hit the center. All right. Now I hit the center, nothing happens. And that's because when you use the comma format on it, it's a style and it's using what we call accounting formatting. And the accounting formatting always kind of lines it up on the right and it gives you a little space here, all right? It doesn't allow you to go center. So what are we going to do? I know this is kind of a minor thing here, but this might be something that you want to do. So you go back into the number area here. We go over and we click on a number and we just say, again, we want comma separator, no decimal places, hit OK. And now, if I go in there and center it, then it centers, see? So I can get that thing, well, just about like that, right? And I think I also have in here it indented. So if I bring that back, nope, that's okay there, okay. So that's centered. Doesn't look real centered, but no, there it is, okay. And then what I can do is I can take this and center that label and have something like that. So it's a minor thing, on the price, now let's look at this one now. The thing on the price is that I need that to be not rounded to no decimal places because it's actually whatever dollars and so many cents, and the cents isn't showing up there, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this whole area here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add 2 decimal places to it. See how that comes out there. And this has already been formatted in the other way, but we can just check and make sure, because if we go, let's say if we go and line up on the right, we make it centered. No, it hasn't. So we're still in that same boat here. So we're going to go back in here. All right. Select this whole range. All right. And then go back into the number formatting. All right. So it's an accounting format. We want number, 2 decimal places, commas, doesn't really matter for that. And then we hit OK, and now you'll see how it shifted over. All right, so now that's perfectly centered. This is centered, of course. So there we go. We can go ahead and kind of pull this out a little bit and get it just right there. So, bring it a little bit. All right. Doesn't look centered, does it? Let me just go and do this real quick here. So center, center. There we go. Okay. Center it again. Do that again there. Yep, that's about the best we're going to get. All right, so, all right, next one. Now for these totals, what I can actually do is save myself some time and say, you know what? Whatever was over here for the formatting, I want over here, right? So what we can actually do is click over here, select the whole range, all right? Now watch this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the, in the Home tab here, I'm going to hit the Format Painter, click over here, and then I can just double click this. And what I did was I copied the formatting over, see? So now, if I go in there and make that title center, see now it's perfectly centered in there. That looks pretty good. Now for this next one, a little bit different. I need to get this data to be lined up on the right-hand side, which it is. But at the same time, I don't have commas in there, all right? So for this one, what we're going to do is I'm not going to do the Format Painter. I'm just going to do it the way I should, just so that you can see what I'm doing here. I need to select that whole range, all right? Now I'm going to tell it that I want comma formatting, but I'm going to do it with the numeric formatting. So I'm just going to go back into the dialog box here, right? Go to number, tell it I want comma, and I want no decimal places, all right? Hit OK, and there it goes, see? Now, the way it's lined up right now, it's lined up on the right-hand side there. Perfect, right? Now, What I like to do though is get it kind of pushed off a little bit from where it's at right now. And so if I were just to go in there and make it centered, I'm going to get that look. I don't want that. So I want it to be lined up on the right hand side, but I still want it to make it kind of look like it's centered. Now watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to hit the indent button. Now this is not going to work if you originally made this comma format with that. It has to be the comma format from the number within the dialog box there, okay? So you get it lined up on the right hand side there, which we did with that, and then look at this, with the indent. Now the indent, as you know, will push things over, right? Well, it can't go any further over, so guess what it does? You hit that indent, it pulls back. Look at that, huh? And probably one is good enough. I think if we go too many, it's going to go too far over. So I'm just going to bring it back one. So there it is. I'll take this guy and make it centered as well, and there we go. So we can actually maybe adjust this a little bit and get it just right. So it's centered, but I mean, not perfectly, but you couldn't tell. And it's lined up on the right-hand side. Very cool. And I want the same thing for this one here, right? So why not just take this one here, right? I can click onto that, hit my format painter, go over to here and just kind of drag it all the way down. I can do it this way, see? Drag it down like that, perfect. Now make it wider, there it is. I don't have to worry about any indenting because that indenting came over from what we did over there. Again, I'll make this one centered, and there we go on that one. I know this is like really picky stuff, but you know, when you are formatting your worksheet and you know that you can make it look real good, this is what you have to do, all right? Now, for this last one, this is a calculation of gross margin, and gross margin basically is taking your profit, which is a gross margin dollars, I guess, right? And you take that number and you divide it by the total, and that gives you your gross margin. And that's what you see up there for the calculation. Now, problem is the cells were formatted as whole numbers, so they weren't showing any decimal places. So what we're going to do is we're going to go even beyond that and just convert this all into percentage, right? And we do that by selecting the range, just like that. And then we'll go back up into our number format area. There's your percentage. Perfect. You can make it a little bit wider. You'll see that I think it's going to be centered. Yeah, it is already centered. Usually what happens when you do this, it's usually lined up on the right-hand side there. So because this is not accounting type formatting, when you click this, you can just select it and then go ahead and make it centered, and there you go. All right, perfect. So there we have it. So there's, I think, some good ideas of how to convert your data, especially when it comes to the numbers and dates and so forth, into stuff that's either looking a little bit different or aligned exactly the way that you want it to be aligned and so forth. So this is it. So hopefully this helps you with what you're trying to do with your own worksheets. I appreciate you watching the video. Thanks a lot.